Scott from Aristocop.com here.
And Seth from theshrinkingpastor.com.
Let's go inside.
Okay.
All right, so the reason we're here, both Boy and I have gotten into sous vide cooking, which if you haven't seen the YouTube channel Sous Vide Everything,
You should.
you owe it to yourself to check that out. We thought we would share with you one cook. So we are here at Walmart to get some meat. And actually, we just finished steaks at your house. And
We're like, we should sous vide something.
we should share
All right.
this. So that's why we're here.
All right, so if you haven't heard of sous vide cooking, sous vide stands for under vacuum. It's fancy, it's French, but really, because you're cooking meat in it, it's American. And so with sous vide cooking, you vacuum seal the meat, usually meat, you can cook other things, but it's most often meat, in a container like this, and you can put it into,
You're really good.
you could just put that in there. It's gonna cook in a container of water that is being temperature regulated by a sous vide cooker, and the sous vide cooker is going to keep the temperature low but steady. It circulates the water, and it allows the meat to cook all the way through to that temperature that you've set. So what that does is you get perfectly tender or perfectly not tender, depending on your preference, meat that is cooked inside to out. Then what typically happens,
Bacon cheddar patties.
that would be delicious.
Yeah, but it says it's going to cook at 160 degrees. So that's way overcooked for beef, as far as for ground beef.
I wonder how it would do in the sous vide though. It'd be a mess.
Yes, it would.
I grilled some of those the other night actually. So once the meat is cooked to the ideal temperature, all that's left is searing the meat. That's so you get some caramelization on the outside. That's so you get some texture, some differentiation. So any of these things could be cooked in the sous vide. We've got chicken, we've got beef. We do a lot of steak.
Hot Italian sausage, 2 grams carbohydrates per link.
Awesome. And those are excellent in the sous vide. They also cook pretty quickly. They cook in about 20 minutes. Once you get the sous vide up to temperature, which can take a while. All right, so we are back in the kitchen at our house. This is the Innova sous vide machine, I guess it's called. You can see currently it's set to 176 degrees. And it is rising in temperature. Right now it's 141. This will run until it reaches that temperature, and then it will keep that temperature consistent. I can set the temperature and control it with my phone. I can also set cook time with my phone as well. And so there are all sorts of recipes online through that YouTube channel we talked about and others telling you what the right temperature is for the right food. What we're going to do is we're going to take our sausages and vacuum seal them while this continues.
Now, they're already vacuum sealed. Why can't I put that with the styrofoam tray right into this water?
It would maybe, you can. It would maybe be fine.
No.
Well, but I would question the sealing capability of that plastic wrap it's loosely wrapped in.
Yeah.
And also, you know, California says you shouldn't eat more styrofoam. This is actually going to be pretty high on the temperature scale. Usually I'm cooking closer to 130, 140.
With beef?
For beef or pork. But the sausages are able to cook really high temperature, and you'll see as we continue on. But right now we're going to go ahead and vacuum seal these, and then we'll throw them in the water.
Now, what's fascinating about this whole process is, and I didn't know this when we first learned about sous vide, that you can take a steak that is done at, let's say, like Boy said, 131 degrees. It's medium rare at 131 degrees. And you can put it in that water bath, and at 131 degrees, once it reaches that temperature, it's done. And it doesn't get any more done as long as you keep it in at 131, or you can even drop the temperature if you like. And it can be in there for hours before you actually end up getting any degradation. The texture would start to get softer and then ultimately mushier. But that's actually really good for some tough cuts of meat, like I've done pork butt, and I've actually done brisket with mine. And I cooked a brisket in 2 halves for 24 hours in the sous vide, and then finished it up on the smoker, and it was fantastic.
So right now I'm cutting a bag. This is a vacuum sealer bag, and cutting it to the size what the meat's going to be. So this is a NutriChef sealer. It was pretty cheap.
It's like the old school seal a meal,
I guess.
Okay, so you're having to create a seal on the cut side.
Yes. So I'm sealing the first side now, which has heated and created a seal here. And then I'm going to open up the sausages.
And at this point, we could season these if, like, we're making steak or something like that. We can put salt and garlic powder and all that jazz on it.
Yeah, in fact, we do that pretty heavily. With sous vide, what will happen is, as it cooks inside of the bag, the juices are still part of the cooking process. And so you can over-season it, and it actually ends up being perfect, just the way it works out. So with these, what we'll do is we'll line them up just like they are in the current container. Get a nice even.
By the way, my OCD.
Yep.
I don't like the idea of having a roll of this with an open end on it that's possibly getting junk in it. So as soon as I cut one off of there, I always seal that end. And then that way, when I'm ready to make one, I only have to cut it off and seal it. Hey, Sarge.
Night, bud.
Good night.
Night, buddy.
Dad.
Love you.
Say goodnight to YouTube.
I love you, Dad.
I love you, buddy.
I love you, Dad.
All right, so we've got the sausages in here now. Move this out of the way. Put it up onto the vacuum sealer.
And you are
Push
just
it onto
so in the
seal.
way with this.
Sorry. One thing I like about this particular sealer that all of the reviews said is it will suck and suck and suck until there's no air left. Some of them will just draw air for a certain amount of time, and they kind of give up before it's done. And so this is a tight sealed bag.
I also double seal mine.
Yep.
Never had a failure.
Nope.
But I just do.
Yep. So I'm not OCD. Also have never had a failure and have never double sealed. So we're not up to temperature yet, and I could wait to put these in at temperature, but if you think about it logically, they're not going to overcook. The internal temperature we're shooting for is 176. It's going to take 20 minutes to reach that internal temperature. Having them in water that's less hot than that, it's not going to actually cause an issue. So I'm going to go ahead and put these in now.
I've seen people that will actually put ice cubes in that in order to kind of chill and delay the cook process. I don't like that.
I don't understand
think
why.
That would put it into a temperature zone that's not safe.
Maybe. Well, okay. So that I understand what you're saying now. Right now I'm taking this off. So one thing that should be noted: this piece right here is the Anova. This is the sous vide cooker. This can be put into just about any size container. And so this lets you, a lot of people will modify coolers, large coolers, lets you cut really large cuts of meat with the same heater. I actually don't know what the size restrictions are, because I have seen some very
The actual
large volume cooks with this. And so,
I do use a cooler when I'm cooking something that justifies it. Otherwise, I use a stock pot for most of my
I've
cooking.
done that too. Yep. So I turned it back on. What I like about this lid is that for most things I'm able to get access. I had a really large cut of a really large package of steak in here before, so I took everything apart. But this is going to sit here, and the beauty of it is I'm cooking without doing anything. And so we're going to be able to go film, do some other work. And meanwhile, this is cooking to a perfect internal temperature. It's really great for the longer cooks of meat. If you're cooking pork belly, which takes 7 hours, to cook that in a smoker, to cook it someplace else, you're going to have to constantly be messing with it. It's great if you've got people coming over, you throw it in, and just wait, and it's good to go. So we'll come back when this is done.
So all you were doing there is you were basically sanitizing after the last cook.
Yeah, I just heating it up so I can scrub off any remnants.
Okay.
We'll also get a little bit of advantage. We'll also get some sear marks.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, you just heated that grate up.
So, this is an $18 Harbor Freight weed burner attached to a propane tank. Because I've got little kids, I went for the version that needs to be lit separately from the torch, but they sell for $30, one that has a button here. And so what we're gonna do, actually, before I do that, we're gonna throw the sausages on the grill. And we're gonna hit them with this torch. Now you'll see, can you hear that sizzle?
I cannot hear a sizzle.
Yeah, let's see if we can see. So, this is really, really easy to do with most meats. What I have found is the sausages are maybe the most difficult meat to use the blowtorch on.
All right, try not to cast too much light, boy. Well, of course you're gonna be lighting it up.
Yeah, we'll be all right, I think.
Okay.
All right. So, with most meats, I'm gonna hit this with high heat like that. With the sausages, I'm barely going to pass over, and because the casing, as it starts to heat up, will start to contract and crinkle. Here, come over here. You see that? Now what's weird is these do this whether I'm using the torch or just the grill. I grilled some on charcoal the other day. I think what's happening is because the meat inside is already cooked, the casing is pulling tight and it pulls away from the cooked meat. Even when I overheat it and I get a crack, it doesn't actually squirt as much.
It's not squeezing.
It doesn't really lose as much juice as it would if we were just cooking it over the grill normally. So normally this is a faster process with other meats, but because I don't want them to just explode, I have to kind of take my time. So Homer, you have a sous vide.
I do.
Do you have a flamethrower yet?
I don't. I don't. I don't know.
So you've actually tried a couple of different unique searing methods. The big one was the paint, or the heat gun.
Yes, a heat gun that you would use to remove paint. For me, that was a fail. I have a nice cast iron pan that I typically use. Then I also have a thing on my pellet smoker called a sear box, which is basically a very high temp LP grill. So it gets up to 900 degrees and that'll sear something really quick.
Yeah.
I like the torch though. I like the flavors we're getting from the torch.
All right. What do you think? It's hard to tell in this low light.
Give one of them just go intense on one.
That's a better color, actually.
I like that color. Also, being so dark out here, it's hard to tell.
Right. Yeah, that's definitely better. I'm gonna hit the other side, and then we'll be done. Then we'll do taste test.
Yeah, I'm here for the taste test.
So if they weren't up to temperature before, so this has become one of my favorite cooking toys. I will cook hot dogs for the boys with this and just use this and just torch them. I mean, they're already cooked inside,
Yeah.
so it's no concern. It's great. It is the fastest way to cook a hot dog.
All right, let's plate them up. Take it inside. So there we go, nice and seared up. I'm ready to give them the taste test.
All right, let's do it. All right, so this is a taste test of the hot sausage. Had we had better lighting, probably would have torched it even a little bit more than this, gotten a better sear. But let's see what it looks like on the inside. There's a cross section.
It's a spicy sausage.
You can see, just by looking at it, spicy sausage. So what I've loved about cooking sausages this way is that they tend to be really moist. They don't lose a lot of their juice. Yeah. But with sausages like these, I'm always concerned to make sure that they're cooked to the right temperature. So when cooking them on the grill, or in particular cooking them over a campfire, that's always a big issue. I have conversations about you gotta cook it low and slow with buddies who try to cook it too fast and then bite into it and they get a mouthful of just pink. So my thinking is the next time they come over, I'm gonna sous vide some and then they can just sear it in the campfire.
Perfect.
Just like a hot dog's already cooked. So, Homer, get down here. Take a bite. Yeah, pass.
You gotta say, you gotta get way back.
So this is your first time having a sous vide
It is.
raw, isn't it?
It is. Mmm. That's really good. And again, that torch is perfect for searing. That's great. All right, I'm buying a torch, hon.
They're cheap, and we just recently got a Costco membership, so gas is cheap there too. Oh, I think that wraps up the sous vide episode. We love it. We are using it a ton.
And being low carb and keto boy,
Yes,
lots and lots of meat, so
perfect for that.
it is perfect. All right, make it a great week.
See ya.